Howdy, folks. We are coming here live from Montreal from an undisclosed location. Actually, all three of us are at the same.
We're in the draft bunker.
Yes. we're not at Berchtesgaden or anything like that. No, but we're in Montreal, downtown Montreal, getting ready for the NHL draft tonight. We're extremely excited for who's going to be picked first and a lot of other things that may happen, but. Before that, we'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
So let's talk about Brett Favre, because apparently he spoke to TMZ, which to me sounds like a desperate plea that he's open to being an analyst for the NFL on some network if they want him. And I'm thinking, dude, you were selling like those copper-fitted whatever, and you sold your soul for that and the nose hair trimmer. And so now all of a sudden you got tired of sitting at home on the tractor, and you're basically asking TMZ to make a post to let them know that you would take a job that nobody has interviewed you for and probably doesn't want you for.
Well, he would fit on Fox because wasn't he charged with some sort of sexual harassment or something like that?
Yeah.
No, but
allegedly.
Allegedly. Thank you. No, the thing is, it's like, okay, he probably sees the $37 million that Tom Brady is going to get from I think it was CBS or Fox. Hey, we're live, and he says he probably thinks he can make at least half.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you. Why is that?
Probably because you muted us. Okay. Well.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Speak to me.
We are.
I can't hear you guys. Shoot.
Log off and log back in. Try that.
Hold on. What's happening? Hello.
Is this a new microphone? Okay. I'm going to.
Well, mute yourself for a minute, Eck. We'll finish this. So one of the other products that Brett Favre pushes is called Green Eagle Muscle Relief Cream.
Oh God.
It's so funny because Brett Favre got paid well, but he is literally going to push anything anybody will give him $1 for.
Yeah, no. Is it possible that he blew all of his money?
It is possible.
Oh my God. I mean,
tractor pulls are not cheap, gentlemen.
I wouldn't know anything about that. But yeah, no, that's sad if that's the case. But this is the thing. Drew Brees was a complete bust as an analyst. He was. So they got rid of him after a year. Romo was I don't know about a home run. There's some people who don't like him, but I think he's insightful. Personally, I think Brady is going to suck.
I'm not sure he's going to be good either. It'll take some work. He'll put in the work, but we'll see how good he is.
Right. I mean, and we probably won't know for a couple of years because the contract that he is it's contingent on him like retiring, and he may never retire. He may retire when he's 80 and senile or something like that. So
yeah. Oh, and the Brett Favre other product, it's not just a nose hair trimmer, it's a male grooming product.
Oh my God.
Just be exact about this.
Call it the lawnmower.
Oh God. Goodness gracious.
So anyhow, if somebody knows a network that Brett Favre could get a job at, give him a holler, or let TMZ know, and they'll let Brett Favre know.
Yeah. All right.
I know. It's going to be it'll be in the Newsmax Sports Division.
Wow. Maybe it'll be the New York Times.
Some people mad in the audience.
Yes. Maybe it'll be the New York Times.
I will answer one thing in the chat room while we're waiting on Eck. Thomas Boyle says the Forsbergs with Nashville's signing is imminent. David Poyle didn't think it was imminent yesterday. So I just want to let you know that. Now, he knows he gave him his best offer, and he's waiting on Philip Forsberg, but it is not imminent.
Ack, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yay. All right. Great.
Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Obviously. Yes, I can hear. We can hear you. Can you? Okay, good. All right. Let's start.
All right, let's roll.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
I just got a text as I did that. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. We'll talk about this in a second. I was looking for the date. I got a text on my phone.
Oh, God.
All right. Hello, Hockey World. It is Thursday, July 7th, 2022. Happy birthday to my dear mother.
Oh,
Hello, I'm Michael Lagello from Hockey Buzz.
Anthony Majoni from Sunrise Philly.
Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes every Monday through Friday to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And we have today some folks at the draft.
Yes,
Indeed.
So what's going on up there, Russ, Mike?
Nothing much. Just
No.
Montreal. Just a bunch of, reporters hanging out, waiting for the draft to start. That's all. Not a lot.
Singing karaoke, which we did not.
no,
Is that
please, no.
No, I'm a horrible singer. I would not do that.
I'm a great singer, but I just don't want to do it. But no, it was a nice. The fact that we haven't been at a draft in person in 2 years, you could tell from all the media members that were there at the media mixer that they had the media reception last night, that everybody was just so glad to be out. It was an open air venue, some decent food and some good company. It was great to see impressed flesh with people. And now I think everybody's just excited about the draft, and there's a lot of chatter, and I don't know whether any of it is going to turn out in terms of like who's going to be picked where and trades and whatever, but that's the normal stuff.
I can handle the GM talk first, because Anthony and I were up there, and I sat in on. I spoke to like 3 of them and sat in on a couple of others, and I answered the Philip Forsberg. David Poyle's not confident. He just gave him his best offer, and he's waiting. That's really where they're at with that.
Right.
Hextall's confident that they're signing Letang, and would be surprised if they didn't. But also still sounded pretty confident they're getting Malkin in there too. So I think I believe Hextall, which I shouldn't believe any GM, but I think I believe him on that one. So there's that.
Let me just touch on one thing. You just Poyle and in Vancouver, not Rutherford, but Patrick Alvin. They both offered 8-year contracts, at least reportedly.
Yes,
8 years to JT Miller, 8 years to Forsberg. JT Miller sounds like he's not taking it, and that he's probably going to get traded. Forsberg is still up in the air. I think it's a question of AAV rather than term.
Right.
And what we've talked about on the show, if he wants as much or more than Yossi, then I don't think then he might go to market. If he's gonna threaten to go someplace else because of a $500,000 difference. I mean, you'd think that Nashville would just say give him the $500,000, but I don't know. I don't
know. My sources in Nashville, not obviously David Poyle doesn't tell anybody really anything directly ever.
Right.
But my other sources in Nashville around the team that I get things from that have been right over the years, or close, usually right, as is anything, feel as if that this is going to get done, that it is closer than it was a couple days ago, that it and one of the big factors here is that Forsberg's wife is in the entertainment industry, and Nashville's a great place for her to be. If not Nashville, it would probably be LA. To be honest,
Right.
like it would be Los Angeles would be a place that he would go, so that's where people are, saying that, if he's not going to sign there, the Kings are probably the next best place. And then after that, perhaps New Jersey, being that they're the only like New York metro area team that could bring him in probably.
So so 2 other things on that, Eck. I'll go back to Nashville for a second, only because Poyle did say that the McDonough thing happened quickly, like within 15 hour period.
Yep.
So there wasn't like a lot of going back and forth. It wasn't like it was like out of the blue, like, hey, you want to do this? And they did it quickly. So there was that. And then I'm trying to think, who's the other team?
Well, LA or New Jersey.
New Jersey. So with New Jersey, the talk is that they are going heavy after Jack Campbell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I sat in on the Dubas press conference. I asked him a couple questions. One, he wouldn't say that it's for sure the Campbell's going, but Campbell's going. That's the gist we get. I mean, they haven't talked numbers with him since April, and that basically that stance is maintained. And from the people that I talked to, it's just, sort of secondhand, everybody's saying Campbell's gone. Now, whether that's the right direction to go, that depends
That's one
on
debate, which we've had many times.
right. But that
Go
it
down that
depends. It depends on what the step 2 of the process is. Now, the interesting thing was he was really talking up, Peter Mrazek in the presser. And now this is what he said, and I agree with this. Is Mrazek the goalie who had a .910 save percentage in 270 career games, or is it the guy who had an .888 save percentage in 20 games? Of course, he's going to say that he's the other goalie, the one that they signed.
Right.
Now, is he saying that because he's wanting to facilitate a trade of Mrazek? Or now that's not consistent with them buying him out, but if they have a trade partner and he's talking him up, then that makes a lot of sense. Is he talking him up because he may be the fallback if they can't move him? I just don't think that Kyle Dubas can go into next season having Peter Mrazek and Eric Shalgren or Joseph Wall as his goaltending tandem. He's going to rest his job on that. I don't think so.
No, he's not. And as a little side note, Campbell's Soup comes from New Jersey.
Oh God,
Camden, New Jersey.
Camden, New Jersey. If you ever, when you drive, I had a lot of my older relatives, my aunt, my great uncle, were big parts of Campbell's Soup in New Jersey. So Campbell's Soup, and it's that's where Campbell's.
Wait, which parts? The chunky parts? No, never mind. Sorry, it was.
No, they were before. They were back in the old days.
The soups that look like
before soups were chunky. Before those kind of soups were chunky.
Are you talking about the soup that looks like radioactive sludge? Oh, just kidding.
Stop. Campbell's Soup is good, wholesome food. Will you stop?
Sure it is.
We don't did. So Campbell to New Jersey, doesn't sound like a terrible idea. But what I've heard on Campbell in the last 48 hours, I wrote about a little bit in the rumor tracker, and I do believe that this is true, that he is going to get more than $6 million a year. We always talked about $5 million a year. He's actually going to get over 6. And Edmonton's willing to go there.
Yes.
And New Jersey's willing to go there. Now the question is whether or not, at the end of the day, if he has a choice, if he's an option,
that's a product of a weak market. Sorry.
Let me finish. Whether or not it's of course it's a product of the market, as is every free agent that's
of a weak market.
No, it's a market. It's the goalie market that's out.
This is only my opinion, and I'll let you finish it. But this is only my opinion. Any team that spends $6 million on Jack Campbell is stupid money.
Well, I'm sure they know.
I'll let Anthony handle that one.
I'll make sure that you know that they know that you think that, Mike. But honestly, the reality is he's a good goalie, and I don't want to get into this debate. It's going to happen, okay? And if obviously Toronto doesn't think he's worth that, like you don't think he's worth that, and
yes,
you got that is the bed you will make, and that's.
But I'm happy. I'm happy for him. If he gets $6 million, I'm very happy for him. He's a good kid. He's been through a lot. He hit it big in the year when he had an opportunity. I would be extremely happy for Jack Campbell if he gets $6 million out of Edmonton or $6 million out of New Jersey. I hold him. It's like Zach Hyman. If you got the chance to get it, God bless. I just know that the Toronto in their current situation can't spend $5 million. They don't
have the money. They had the other choices they made have made them maybe out of this
right.
Market. That's fine. Right. So. Talking about why we think Campbell's going to get $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think New Jersey might go higher than Edmonton actually. So the question is, will be on him where he wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've heard it. Whether he wants to go to Edmonton, which is probably closer to winning, and obviously an exciting situation. New Jersey, which is actually a really good young up and coming team where we could be part of that team for the next 6 years and grow with them and become.
Yep.
So he's got 2 good options in my mind, like 2 interesting options.
And the interesting thing is one of the questions I asked the Dubas was about trading negotiating rights, because the Leafs only have 3 draft picks, and he talked about draft capital and about the possibility of them getting a mid-round pick or something like that for Campbell. If they know for sure that Campbell's going to go someplace else, then maybe Edmonton or New Jersey wants to get an early opportunity to negotiate with them and get a contract done. And if that happens, it's probably going to happen today or tonight.
Yeah.
Because the depth of the draft 2 through 7 is tomorrow. So you could see a move of either him or Ilya Mikheyev who
Who
Dubas,
also New Jersey is interested in. By the way, I talked to them about that.
Who-
McKay of New
who-
Jersey also is interested in him.
who basically, Dubas, without saying he's not coming back, essentially he's just said, based on what he's hearing in terms of the offers, they can't compete with that. So, and we got 3 years out of McKayev, that type of thing. So pretty much they wrote McKayev off. So I would not doubt that there's a possibility you'll see one or even both of them traded, the rights traded before tomorrow.
Yeah, and John and Dallas pretty much Jim Nill pretty much admitted John Klingberg's not coming back either.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah, which is
maybe they'll get a pick for that too.
Now, I want to do one more trade thing. The text I just got because
Okay.
it involves the Flyers, Anthony. And then I want to get into the draft because we have to. That's really what we have, Russ, and it's like we have to get into the draft today for sure.
Okay, I can log off then.
Okay,
I'm
Mike,
just
see ya.
saying Russ is the Mike. You're
I'm kidding. I'm
joking.
I'm joking.
All right. Here we go. So, text this morning from a source in Calgary. Hearing the Gaudreau's rights have been discussed with the Flyers. That was the text I got just as I logged in on it.
So, yeah, that's possible. Yeah, it's with the offing of if you're moving on JVR, which I think we're all pretty much fairly certain that that's going to occur. That frees up some of the money that they would be looking to do, but there would have to be obviously some other offsetting. I think there have to be some other offsetting moves in order to get that. But could I see Philadelphia trading for Gaudreau's rights? Absolutely. And I think, again, depending on what that return is, it depends on also how far along Philadelphia is in potentially getting Gaudreau signed. And again, Philadelphia has a lot of considerations you can look at the pros and cons of bringing in Johnny Gaudreau. If in fact, he's interested obviously in playing for the Flyers, but I think we look at it from, they very much have to look at ticket sales. There's no question about that. That's not something, and that's something that you can very much sell the Flyer fan base if you're acquiring. And again, to me, Gaudreau is basically it is what it is. It's your Giroux replacement. After you dealt off Claude Giroux, it's the top end talent that you can get. Again, you can debate about whether or not that money should be laid out for a center versus a wing. You kind of already have heavy money laid out on centers anyway. Your top two centers are pretty much pending on, obviously, both Sean Couturier and Kevin Hayes' health. You're not going to outlay a large chunk of money to say trying to get like a Nazem Kadri.
Right.
And see it happening for Philadelphia. It'll be a ridiculous amount of money to spend down the middle for what Kadri's going to get. So, can I see that happening? The answer is yes, I could. Will it? That's a whole nother thing there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me here in Philly a lot of remember the 2006-07 season in the Flyers had was not the greatest of seasons, and it was I don't even have to. I mean, it was just one of the. And then in July 1st, 2007, they signed Danny Briere. Right, they go out and but people at the time were saying the same kind of things people were saying about Gaudreau, like this team isn't a Danny Briere away or whatever. This team isn't a Johnny Gaudreau away from being successsul. I think
but they had other offsetting moves. Again, the Nashville trade and everything else where they acquired. This has some other structural things that have to be put into place. But again, willingness to play obviously under John Tortorella. Where Johnny would be with that. Somebody's asking, I know in the chat, whether or not who do you play Gaudreau with? I can't see him and Cam on the same line. For me, it would be. Now you probably wouldn't have them necessarily on the same line, but again, wherever in the top 60, basically, whatever line you have Gaudreau and the other line does becomes a 1 and 1A. I mean, it then just becomes matchup. It becomes matchup oriented. So it's your question, Nick. Yeah, I think there's enough. I think and you can say, hey, he's 29, he's undersized. You're adding another undersized forward to the Flyers lineup. There's also offsetting moves where they can move off an undersized forward as well.
Right.
To compensate for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard enough of the talk regarding them potentially moving out Konechny, and if they're going to go out and sign Gaudreau and spend, say, $9 million a year on a new deal, then they might counterbalance that by moving out Konechny for some other area of need.
Again, you have cost certainty with Konechny too, with his contract for a long-term contract. Whoever's acquiring him, they have to envision be able to play him and figure out how to kind of unlock Travis. The only thing, again, we all acknowledge the fact that I think Travis Konecny is a very talented hockey player.
Yeah,
but that his dedication to detail comes and goes.
And what's interesting, Anthony, about that is I heard more about them moving Konecny prior to the Tortorella signing. Like I think that Tortorella, from what I've heard, is really excited about Travis Konecny. Like that's one of the guys that he thinks he can get his game into.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're going to move him now because of that. I think Tortorella said, like, he's one of the guys I want around. I want to keep him. I want to make him into something.
But then but again, if you're going after a Johnny Gaudreau and you're trying to keep yourself with flexibility going forward, I almost think there's a couple guys that have to.
Oh, there's definitely something else that has to give, and it may be more, along the lines of defense.
Russ is having. You're going to, we'll get a chair. Russ and I are going to join me now because he's having some tech issues here. So.
Our mind has been blown, folks. Anthony and Russ are in the same room. Good Lord.
What happened? He's grabbing a chair here, so we're going to, I don't know.
All right. Well, I want to get into the, while Russ is getting situated there.
I think I'll just lounge on my bed here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's in the other room now.
No chair.
This is like that horror show. The call is coming from inside the house type thing, All right, I wanted a couple other quick rumor things, and then we're going to get right to the draft.
Yes.
The rumor tracker's up. Bruce Boudreau, I was told, and Kevin and I talked about this on the podcast yesterday, which I'm sure you all watched.
Yes, I did. By the way, it did break the streak.
It did break the streak for Mike. Yes,
broke the streak. I was gonna try to call in on the road, but we when we got across the border, the Wi-Fi was not the greatest.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna try somehow to get in.
I was gonna try, but
I figured that. So but that Bruce Boudreau is actually a very big JT Miller fan. And one of the things that's going on here that hasn't been taken into account is Boudreau is being hired as a coach now. He is making a huge push to sign JT Miller. And part of what's going on here, I think, has to do with that. This definitely has to do with that. Now of course that means Brock Besser. It's kind of an either or, right? So Brock Besser, JT Miller, one of them kind of has to go.
Well, either Besser or
Besser signed. They made a decision on Besser. They signed
right, but they signed him, but they would have to move him out to sign Miller. So
I think
the decision's kind of. I think if you really get down to it, if you're already signing a guy, it's like
but
Besser's value. The Besser can be moved. Besser has a lot. There are a lot of Besser fans out there.
Besser's new deal does not have any kind of no trade protection, so that you could do that. But they did make a commitment to him. No. The talk is, Zach, is that if it's a decision between JT Miller and Bo Horvat, and Bo Horvat is the captain. So,
it's funny because I've heard that Horvat's. I heard, who knows? I mean, I heard the opposite, but I heard that Horvat they're keeping because he's the captain, like you said, and all this, right. And that they feel like they have a place they could move Besser, which like we said is obviously strange because they did just sign him and all that. I get that, but all right, so let's get into the draft for a second here. Montreal, about another text just that Montreal could be trading for Kadri's rights. That's another thing that came through today.
Oh, please! I mean,
I know Montreal is heavy on Kadri, that they like him a lot. We know that the Canadians are going to try to do something at the draft, something exciting at the draft. That they could make a move.
Trade up with some of their bottom picks, but I don't think they're doing anything more than that.
I know what they're going to do. They're going to smuggle in Peter Svoboda, like they did back in the 80s when they drafted him. But he's a 50-something-year-old guy, so there's no excitement there.
I will say another thing that's possible to happen, this is coming from John Butchergross right now, is that he says, I have a sense that Matthew Tkachuk will likely be moved.
Yeah, yes. And that seems to go along with if they move Gaudreau, they move Tkachuk as well. Because they don't sign Gaudreau, they move Tkachuk out. I've heard that, which is interesting. I thought if they signed Gaudreau, that might mean that they couldn't afford Tkachuk.
Well, obviously, the heavy favorite for a Tkachuk move would be St. Louis, because St. Louis could sign him to a long-term extension.
I know people in St. Louis that have been saying forever that he's going to be there. So that I agree with you, Mike. So let's talk about the first pick overall for a second.
Yeah.
Because this rumor, this feels. I put it out there as a tweet yesterday just to see what people out there thought, who they should go with, and 75% of people think that the Canadians, and this is I think 3,000 or 4,000 people responded on Twitter, thought that the Canadians should be drafting Shane Wright. us, right? This is the guy that they all think he should be drafting. And yet when you talk to people now, there's this growing, and I know we see this every year, that there's like a guy who's like, with a bullet coming fast. It just feels like, are they missing out on their Dennis Savard if they take Shane Wright? That's my question. Is this, we all know that the famous story is that the Canadians didn't draft Dennis Savard when they could have. And then he went on to have a great career.
And that was the draft in Montreal, and they took Doug Wickenheiser.
Right. They took Wickenheiser, who has had a great career too, but not a Dennis Savard career.
No, I mean, look, nowadays, guys are a lot more battle-tested, even at young ages when they come into the draft.
Right.
Everybody knows what Shane Wright is. Everybody knows he missed a year of development. Everybody knows when he started the year, he had a lot of young players that he had to bring along, so his point totals weren't like 2 points a game. But he still was like 1.5 points in a game, and he was like probably 1.3 in a game in the playoffs. He didn't play on a good team. So he told me he wasn't going to pad his stats. He was trying to make his team better. He wanted to win, and he wanted to make it to the playoffs. So he focused on that. So I don't think there's that issue. There is a legit rumor, sure, that Slafkovsky could go first. I don't believe it for a minute. But I do believe they talked about it. Sure, you have to talk about it. But I don't believe it's going to happen. No.
This is a big, okay. That's good to hear from you. I mean, I just think that, it is amazing when you talk to I've talked to so many people up there, which is, it's easier to talk to them from here, which is why I'm here. Mm-hmm. But I've talked to so many people up there who say, that they think Montreal is going to surprise everybody with this and go Slafkovsky at the last minute. That's a Montreal Canadiens type dramatic thing to do. They bring out, they're going to play, I got a feeling that tonight's going to be the big, and then Coldplay is going to come on, and we're going to see this, and the lights are going to rise up, and it's going to be Slafkovsky.
And the Undertaker will come on. No, but this is. I mean, we heard something completely unsubstantiated that Montreal is going to trade out of 1. They're going to trade down to 2. Then they're going to pool their first round pick in the 5 seconds to move up and get the second and third pick. I mean, give me a friggin' break. I mean,
what they'll do is they have like the 26th. I was just looking it up. And they have a bunch of seconds, and I think they'll package a little bit of that and try and get in the middle of the draft and get another first round pick.
The only thing like that I heard that I actually have any legitimacy to is if for some reason Slafkovsky does go to Montreal, if they pick him and Shane Wright slips to New Jersey could do something with that pick because of the fact that they have so many. They already have.
Sure. I can see that scenario happening.
Yes,
but it's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, and the funny because the person who said to me is like. And this just proves to you that like even assistant GMs and GMs just like are just throwing darts sometimes because he says to me, okay, that happens, that the Flyers love Shane Wright, and I'm like, they're the 5th overall, so Jersey trades with. I'm like, you think the Jersey Devils would trade Shane Wright to the Flyers? I said. I think that's like, but they might really have a tough time believing that they would do that. Anything's possible, but I think more likely, and we talked about this yesterday. Kevin and I talked about this, if that were to happen, and Shane Wright were to come in, and they would have now 3 defensemen and three great centers, all kind of medium-sized guys, in Hershier, Hughes, who's not medium-sized, and Wright, that they would maybe move Hershier at some point, and that would be like the thought that they could do, or they trade down from 2 to 4. Go ahead, Russ, what were you saying there? Sorry.
No, I was saying I don't think they would trade Nico Hischier, but I think they might move one of those guys to the wing. They won't move Hughes, but they could move Hischier to the wing. Look, they have Dawson Mercer too. I don't know if he's playing center.
Right. No, or they trade down from 2 to somebody like Seattle at 4, who would have Beniers and Wright as their 1-2. And then then New Jersey would get one of the defensemen. I mean, right. I think that's more likely than them drafting Shane Wright and then having 3-4 centers like that. It doesn't make much sense.
The one thing I've noticed, and just talking to a lot of different people here as well, there's a lot of hoping and wishing that something unusual or different happens. But it is.
I do wonder if sometimes that's a little bit of a product of being of exuberance, of being at a draft for the first. I mean, we're all professionals and everything, but I do sometimes want a little bit of the excitement of being in that atmosphere again.
Oh yeah,
sometimes plays.
Oh, there's no question, and I mean, this is people, and every year Kevin and I talked about yesterday. There's usually like maybe really only 2 trades at the draft. There's so many rumors, it's insane.
There'll be a lot of
substantive rumors for sure in terms of like NHL returns, but with so many pick swaps.
I'm talking about major. I'm talking about players on rosters moving today.
But it might be different.
Because I'm not sure about today. No. There'll be a lot of pick swapping though.
Right. It might be different today because this is the first time in 2 years they're all in the same room. So it's like that excitement of that and the fact that they not have to get on a phone to talk to somebody and just walk to the other table. I think you're going to see 6 or 7 deals. Whether that'll be players, I think it'll be mostly like Russ said, draft picks, trading up, trading down.
Day 2. Most of it'll be day 2.
Yeah, day 2. Yeah.
What's the number of players that are taken in the draft again? What's the actual number?
32 times 7 rounds. So that's what 224.
Yeah. 224. Okay. Yeah, because I'm going to do something later today on Twitter that you guys might like this too. I'm going to give out a prize, and I always wanted to do this every year and I always forget. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it on Twitter. I'm going to do it on my blog as well. Is that I'm going to have people out there pick a number between 100 and 224, whatever that is. And if that number that you pick is traded, you win something. So like if that pick is like, say, I just always thought this would be fun to try, like the 164th pick is traded and you pick 164, you're a winner. Okay. So, because that's the kind of stuff we do see. Like you'll see tons of those little.
Be prepared. There's like 10 of them. I mean,
right.
Prizes.
Oh, I know.
Like, otherwise, you're gonna blow the website budget.
Right? That's right. I'm gonna blow the website up.
Don't do that, please.
Right. So, the other thing that we're gonna do today, guys, that you don't know about yet, because Kevin and I discussed it last night. If you watched the show, at all, Mike, you did see it yesterday. You said.
I saw a few minutes. I didn't.
Okay,
see
so
it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate your time, taking the time. So anyway,
that's a shot.
No, what we're gonna do is
I was lucky that I was able to post the show and do everything before I collapsed after driving 8 hours.
Yeah. Oh no, you did a good job. Although you sent the invite to a show that was like last week to everybody. But
Sorry.
That's fine.
We figured it out. Under the bus and then backing the bus back over you again.
Excellent. All right. So no, we are going to try our own luck at drafting. So all of us on the panel here today. Okay. I'm going to text you guys after the first 4 picks have been made.
Okay.
And you're going to text me back the guy you're going to take with the 5th pick overall. Okay. Whatever that is.
Philly. Yeah.
And it'd be Philly's pick. Right. That's ironic. I didn't even think of that. It'd be Philly's pick. Right. But it'll be Philly's pick. And whoever you're going to take with the 5th pick overall. And we're going to track over time, who made the right move on this, because we were talking about how hard it is to do this, how hard it is to predict these guys over time. And
Russ will be doing his show on Sirius. I don't know if you can.
I'll be off the show. I'll just.
Okay.
I'll just text you real quick. And Russ, you can give me your top 5 if you want to.
I'll be fine. I'll be waiting on the prospects like Anthony and Mike, because I'll be off the pregame show at that point. I'm fine.
Cool. Because that's just part. This is just part of our grand plan to actually see what each of us can do. This is a project we want to do this year, Kevin and I. That's going to be each of us build an expansion team. So this pick is going to be part of your expansion team, and then we're also going to do a thing where we take each divisions and protect players, and we're all going to try to draft our own expansion team and sign free agents and have some fun with it, each see what we can do. And it's going to be it's not like hockey pool, so to speak, because you're going to have protected players involved, but it's not going to be like we can't all take the keeper
league. Yeah, not like
the same players too. It's just a matter of how it plays out. So anyway, that's another story for another day.
Here's my question. So when you text us, are you asking us who we will pick there, or are you asking us to say
who you would pick there? You're starting a team, Russ. So you don't have any needs at all.
Okay.
You don't have any specific needs. This is just who you think the 5th best player is.
And we're not predicting.
Cookie crumbles in the first 4 picks.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not predicting who Philadelphia will pick.
We're not predicting who Philadelphia.
No, we're just
we're gonna have fun with that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And we'll do the other stuff. We'll do free agency. We'll do some part of free agency. You'll have so much money to sign in free agency, and then you'll have also this. We'll have a good time with it. All right. So then the 5 of us will be in on it. It'll be good.
Now, a couple things I heard talking to some people. The Sabres have 3 first-round picks, 9, 18, and I think it was 9, 16, and 28. I had thought there was a possibility they would trade 1 pick or maybe pool 2 picks together to move up. According to people I talked to, they said no, the Sabres are going to keep all 3 picks and draft them, which is a little surprising because they have a slew of prospects to the point that some of their players like Eric Portillo or Johnson, the former first-round pick, they're going into their senior years in the NCAA and could walk away for nothing.
They must know that they probably can't sign them. That's
right. So they may trade their rights this week, the next couple days. But the speculation is they're going to keep all 3 of their picks.
Right. I think Sabres fans are going to want them to make moves with this pick, and therefore the Sabres tend to do what their fans don't want to do. So
the Sabres aren't ready to do that. So that's why I don't think they're going to do it, because organizationally they're not ready to do that. That's the track that they're on. So I think making the 3-pick selection is the smart thing to do.
They're based on what the signals that they're sending. They're not going to spend anywhere close to the cap ceiling. They're going to get over the cap floor. That's why they traded for Ben Bishop. And I thought with when they signed Craig Anderson, that was sort of a buffer for Luukkonen, their young goaltender, to play. But I was told that they're probably going after another goaltender, and Luukkonen's going to play in the American Hockey League for the year. So they could be in on some veteran, like trade for Cam Talbot or trade for Varlamov or somebody like that with a year left in their contract.
Yeah. Let's talk about the number 7 pick overall, because that's been out there a lot, Russ, too. Dorian's come out and flat out said he's like 50-50 on whether to trade or not, which is, partially, I think, just an excitement builder, because, everybody could say they're 50-50 on everything in life.
They have made a lot of selections, Zach, and they haven't been able to make a lot of ground.
Right.
So I could see why at least they would put it out there.
Yeah.
It's tough to get anybody to. I'm not insulting Otto, but with the current state of the franchise, it's tough to get anybody to go there. So if you could get a young player that with term, for that 7 pick, that would make a lot of sense.
Here's the problem with it. So let's just say my mock is right, and it's Joakim Kemmel that goes there. You better get somebody who could score at least 30 goals a year, or you didn't make the right decision.
Right.
You're right. That is the reality. The other thing I've heard a lot today is, that maybe they were in on Jacob Chychrun, and that this could be part of that. The Jacob Chychrun trade.
Well, that would fit. That would fit. He's got term.
He's got term, and it's almost like, by the way, hey, we're still trading Jacob Chychrun. It's been kind of forgotten about because
they have Jacob Bernard Docker. They have young guys that are cheap too. So
right. So looking at that, I think that would be a hell of a move for them if they could pull that off. Arizona
wants like the 7 for that because they already have a slew of picks. So I think they'll take young players that are cheap or maybe one player that helps them get to the cap floor and another player that's cheap that can be a building block, like a Bernard, something like that.
There is another rumor out there that, there could be a move involving, Carey Price today involving it. I've heard Carey Price could be moved. I think that would be a really
Carey Price rumors at all. And we're in Montreal. I haven't heard one.
You haven't? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Because it's been out there. I'm not the only one who's reporting it either. I can try to find out who else is reporting it. But that Price could be moved today. To move along with Montreal's a later first round pick, which they have.
Right.
Which I guess was Florida's pick, maybe.
Which is indicative of the fact that Carey Price may never play again. So that's
right. It would be more of a trade like that. I agree.
Yeah, an LTIR deal. But the thing is that it hasn't come out yet whether Price is done. Sort of like Ben Bishop. Okay, we know he's retired in name only. If he is, then a team like Minnesota, who's looking to relieve their dead cap space, might be interested in Carey Price.
Florida doesn't have a first.
No. Florida picked the pick that trade.
Montreal's second first round pick.
That is Florida. They got from Florida.
From the Sherratt deal.
Right.
Yeah, 26,
Right. So all right, Russ. So Kevin did his mock draft today. I don't know if you got to see that or not.
I did not get to see it.
It's pretty cool. I know you've probably read enough mock drafts for your lifetime.
Yeah.
But it is Kevin, so I think we're gonna give you a little credit here. And I think that now he has his. I'll give you his top 10, and you tell me where he's wrong.
Okay.
All right. He's got Wright,
mm-hmm.
Slafkovsky,
mm-hmm.
Cooley,
I think he's wrong on that, so I'll start there.
Okay, you don't think Cooley goes at 3?
No, I think Nemec is going 3. I think Cooley's going 4.
Okay, yeah, so he's got that reversed.
I concur on that.
You concur on Kevin's or Russ's?
On
not.
I would say Nemec. I think I have a strong
on Russ's.
On a fair strong.
Got it. Okay.
Cooley. I think Seattle, especially if he gets to Seattle, I defend Seattle. I run up to get Cooley at 4.
Yeah. Then he's got Gauthier for the Flyers at 5.
Good.
It's possible. I have Juracek.
I would have Juracek, but I can easily see I can very easily see Gauthier and not be.
So I'll say that's possible.
Gauthier and not be surprised.
Right. Okay. At 6, he's got Kemmel.
Possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then Juracek at 7 to the Sens.
I don't think he gets that. There's
no way. You think he's going to go before 7?
He'll go before 7 because he's a commodity.
Somebody will trade up to get him.
Yeah. Is he the Cale Makar of this draft, Russ?
No. He's a big guy. He's got excellent stick and puck control. He's got a big bomb of a shot. He's physical. So where Nemec is like a slicker, maybe a better skating, but even Juracek's a good skater.
Yeah.
Juracek is more of like one of those bigger guys.
He's more of a big rounded, you're gonna get the physicality out of him as well.
You're gonna have to deal with him a lot.
Yeah.
Like he could be one of those guys where you have to worry about every shift he's out because he's big and he could hurt you too.
Big booming right shot as well. I find it hard to believe Juracek falls that far. If it happens, I mean it's a surprise. It would be a surprise to me to see him falling out of the. I can't see him get past 6.
If he gets the 7, that Senators pick becomes really interesting, right? Like that's when people will talk to the Ottawa Senators.
And it has something of value to trade. Yeah, possible then.
Yeah, that's when they can really pause it. Then at 8, team Kevin's really connected with in the Red Wings. He's got but no one knows whatever Hasman's ever going to do. Is Jonathan Lekkerimäki, right?
Yeah, that's who I have. I think he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
By the way, the second Montreal pick is from the Tyler Toffoli deal. That's what it was. Not Florida.
Don't they have Florida's pick, or do they have Florida's next year?
Next year.
That's right. Okay, thanks. Number 9 with the Sabres, he's got Matt Savoy.
Yes.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think he's going to fall right into their lap.
And at 10, Kevin Korchinski.
No, I don't think I'm going to go with Nazar. I think Korchinski could rise to that.
I think that because, again, I think it's possible because, again, teams get into that whole nervousness of if they think if there's going to be a run on defensemen and they want to be sure to get in front of that.
But the word is Manson's going back to Anaheim, and so I think he'll be there for the duration of his career then, and so they do very well with defensemen Anaheim,
right?
And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think someone like Verbeek will want to have a more dynamic offense. And if you get Nazar, you're going to have a real dynamic offense with him and Trevor Zegras.
Got it.
Yeah, but they have Mason McTavish too. So
yeah, I'm just looking at it from the pure point of view of when you're getting out of the top 10 and there's still guys there. You always worry that there's that one guy, and then you're a couple picks back, and all of a sudden you want a defenseman, but there's a run on him.
Got it.
That can happen. I could very easily see that.
And to Russ's point, their talent recognition when it comes to defensemen has been fantastic over the years. If they see a defenseman that they believe in, then they're going to take him.
Yeah, that makes sense. 11, he's got, my favorite brand of toilet paper, Jimmy Snuggerud.
I don't think he goes that high. Now this is something where if Marco Kasper's on the board, which he may not be, he may go in the top 8. If he's on the board, you take him over Snuggerud every day of the week.
Okay, interesting. He also wrote a story about how he thought Snuggerud could go to Detroit too. Is a weird out.
I think Buffalo. I have him at 16.
I'm at 16. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So at 12, he's got Nazar at 12.
Yeah, that's possible, but I don't. I think he goes earlier
to Columbus. Then Isaac Howard at 13 to the Islanders.
Yeah, that might be a little high.
That's really high for Howard.
That's really high. Okay, interesting.
And the thing is, I don't know if Lou isn't in charge of the draft, obviously, but I think when they all talk about it, they have similar players to Isaac Howard, except he is a really good goal scorer, and they're always going to need goals. But he's not a bigger guy. He's 5'10". He's a really elusive player. But at the end of the day, I think the Islanders. I haven't taken Brad Lambert, who is definitely a chance. But they took a chance last year on Turati, and it's worked out. I think they might do that again. But I just think it's a little high for Howard. It could be a lot of other players though.
There you go. Then at 14, the Winnipeg Jets, Connor Geekie.
Every mock draft that I've seen has Winnipeg taking Geekie at 14. Every single one.
It's possible. I have him going a little later, but a couple of years ago he would have been in the top 10 easy, but his skating sort of getting picked apart. Everything else about his game is good. He's a really good center. He's smart. He's very coachable. So all of those things check out. He's not like the next Mark Scheifele, though. So if they're going to lose Scheifele, he's not the replacement. But it's possible. I'm not going to say Kevin's wrong on that one.
There's also been rumors in the last 24 hours that Blake Wheeler could be on the move.
Yeah, but I mean, there have been a lot of rumors regarding Winnipeg, and everybody seems to be sort of putting them on hold now that they hired Bonus, because Bonus is the guy who brought everybody together in Dallas, and they think, okay, instead of trading Scheifele and trading Wheeler and breaking up the band, let this guy see if he can, mend things. That's the whole reason that they brought him in, and he did it in Dallas.
But if Cheveldaev doesn't think that team is the best it could be, he's not going to. He wants to set up Bonus. Bonus is definitely a coach's coach, where he's like, just give me the players, I'll put them together. Which he's not necessarily a guy who has tons of input usually on players that they have.
But let's just say more than likely they're not going to get like if they're in a sort of retool reset mode, they're not going to get value for Wheeler. They're not going to get value for Scheifele. It almost behooves them to keep them and see if you can work things out before you blow things up.
Not convinced they wouldn't get value for Wheeler.
Wheeler's 35 years old and declining.
I know, but he's one of those guys. Like if you're a team like, again, I'll go like to the Islanders, or a team that just that thinks that they're better. The Islanders are blowing off last year like it never happened. In their heads, they're still the team that went to the conference final. Like when I talk to people, that's what they aren't seeing last year.
About that,
they don't care what happened last year. It was a bad. They had 25 games on the road or whatever. Right. They had to play a bunch of games, and then they completely are saying that didn't happen. Lou is continuing as if he's a conference finalist. Right. That's where he is. So he could do right or wrong. That's for Islanders fans, it's kind of exciting. It also long term.
Actually, I will stop you there. I know a lot of Islander fans. I don't think they have the same opinion as Lou.
Really, that's interesting.
The bulk of them.
Interesting. Okay, that's good. Let us know in the comments if you're an Islanders fan what you think of that. Marco Casper at 15 to Vancouver.
It's possible.
Yep, and and we'll stop kind of there. But so you can check out the rest of Kevin's list on here. Russ, every year, what I really love about listening to you on XM, when you do this, or when you're just with our show in general, is you have like 2 or 3 guys that are just that no one really has in this, or maybe like late first rounders that you're convinced that are going to be something really special. Who are those guys?
Well, this year I don't think it's late first.
Okay.
If I go deeper, I've been giving out some different guys. One of them that I would give out is James Fisher. He's actually a high school player and really good right winger, can skate already. He's a power forward. I think that's a guy who may get talked about a little bit. But
where's he playing high school?
Belmont Hill,
Massachusetts, right?
Massachusetts.
Okay. Yeah, those are good high school teams up there.
Yeah. Now, another player who could go in the first, but I don't know if he will because he hasn't played a lot in the last year, and that's Julian Lutz, played in the DEL. So he's a guy who has a lot of talent. He's a center. He's fast. He's a quick thinker. He played in on the same team like 3 or 4 years ago with JJ Peterka, and then also keeps in touch with him. Maybe someone goes for him at the end of the first round, but I think he might slip more than that.
Right.
And just not a lot of views. They can go back to what he did the year before. That's fine.
Okay.
But even he admitted, hey, I get it. Like, that's why he showed up at the combine. Like, he was smart to do that to remind people. So those are a couple names.
Is that like a possible boredom thing, when guys get really good and they keep playing in a league that they feel like they're better than,
well, not for him. I mean, he wanted to play more. I think he did have an injury. I think he only played like 26 games though. I can't remember if he had an injury or not.
Right. Now this morning I was listening to XM Sirius, and
why would you do that?
Guest hosting with Gord Stellick was our alumni Julie Robenheimer for the 2 hours, and she's up there as well. And she was saying that she doesn't believe a goalie will go in the first 3 rounds. I think it was.
Yeah, I disagree.
Who's the top goalie for you?
Tyler Brennan is the top-rated goalie, and the speculation is he'll go third round, somewhere in the third round.
Towards the end of the second round, I do.
You think he'll go in towards the end of the second round?
I would probably peg it more, maybe a little bit more for high third, but I mean, in that point, it's not much of a difference.
Right. I just don't think they're going to go a full 3. I think somebody's going to get itchy who needs a goalie, and I don't think they're going to wait 3. That's the reason.
I don't know.
If you have any questions in the chat room, guys, for Russ, throw them up there too. Russ, who do you like for Dallas? We have Tony Soprano in the chat room, which is always exciting.
Hold on.
At 18.
Yeah, I've got Liam Ogren, Swede, power forward, excellent skater, really good in the U18s. Was on one of the best lines in the whole tournament. Really like him. I think if they were to get him, that's something that team needs. He's still going to be 2 or 3 years away, but he might be a little bit more advanced because he's playing in the SHL, and that helps.
I got it. Okay. And also going along with Dallas, I heard this morning about Dallas being one of the top 3 teams for DeBrincat, which is an interesting one. I thought.
Jim Nill, none of that came up.
Yeah.
Well, but none of it came up. But Nill did say that he's been talking trades with a lot of guys. He wouldn't say about what for the last 3 days because they're here and they're just, they're going to talk.
Have you heard from anybody who says they're not talking trade with somebody?
But
I mean, that's that's the way it's going to be. Is
the assumption is with Dallas, is that they're going to try trade for a defenseman to replace Klingberg, because Klingberg is clearly going to go to market.
They should have drafted for a defenseman to replace Klingberg 2 years ago.
Well, right, but Ack, I mean, I grant that, but if you drafted a defenseman 2 years ago, he still may not be ready for.
Right, I know. That's why I'm saying it. It always fascinates me when guys are losing players right now and trying to replace them.
I wouldn't be surprised if if there is a Jeff Petrie deal in the next couple of days.
No, but here's what I want to point out. Because you have Heiskanen, they have Thomas Harley, who's never going to replace Klingberg offensively, but he's a really good all-around defenseman without his game. It doesn't mean he can't play the role.
No, but I mean, okay, they have Lindell, they have Heiskanen, but I think they do need, if Klingberg is leaving, which is likely, Petrie has been a power play point guy. He has a right-hand shot. He replaces Klingberg in those aspects. Montreal might be willing to retain salary to move the 3 years remaining on his deal or take back a contract. I just think that it fits there. But the only thing that doesn't fit is Tony Soprano in the chat. Is they have to re-sign Hintz. They have to re-sign Robertson. What's that, Russ?
I don't think they'll have the money to the cap space to do it.
Right.
They'll eat some of it.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I agree. Now, Russ, every year there's a guy who who last year would have been in your top 10 on the draft and now is falling off the face of the planet. Is there a guy like that?
Well, I mean, Lambert would have been top 5, and I think and I had him 13, and I think that's before some others. Yeah, he fell a lot. Beyond him,
what about Urov? Maybe.
No, Urov I think is pretty close to where he is. I don't think there's any Russian factor with him because he would take about 4 years to get to the NHL anyhow because he'd be under contract because he's a top KHL player or will be a top KHL player, I should say. So. I don't think there's that. Connor Geeky's going to fall quite a bit because 2-3 years ago he was talked about maybe even top 5 as well.
Okay,
and just because of the skating issue, there's going to be teams that shy away from it.
Is there a DeBrincat in this draft, like somebody who people should be taking but they're not going to?
Well, there is. So at the end of the first round, and I'm probably more flowery on him is Jaeger Ferkis. He's only 155 pounds. He's a skinny guy, but he has got a shot. He probably has the 4th, 5th, 6th best shot in this draft and plays out of Moose Jaw. And if you watch him, if you go look at some of the videos, he's got a quick trigger release that is really, you can't teach.
And
he could be that guy.
Right. That's interesting.
And if you want a similar and okay, they don't play the same positions, obviously, but and we've talked about Lane Hudson a bunch of times. Hudson is somebody that could slip into the high part of the second round and might be somebody, if the size isn't as much of an issue as we think it is, could be a steal for a team drafting in the top of the second round. That just like DeBrincat. I mean,
I ranked him early in the year in the first round, and then now he's 34, so that's middle of the second round.
Yeah.
And I did that because he still does have a great battle ahead of him to get big time playing time in the NHL. He's got a hell of a shot. He's a decent defender. He's not a great defender. He's not an elite skater. The problem is when you're that height, when you're 5'8.5", now his dad's 5'11", they're hoping that he could be 5'11", but if he's not, it's going to be an uphill battle. And so Mike's right. I mean, the offense is there, and his teammates talk up a blue streak about him. I've had at least 3 or 4 really, go to the mat for him. But in the end of the day, it's tough if it's your only pick, you're going to take him in the first round. If it's your multiple, maybe somebody takes a swing at it, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't.
Yeah.
I just got a text.
Well, somebody mentioned
said that that the Devils are. This is somebody that's at the draft and up there, in the war rooms, and that they believe the Devils are close to moving their second overall pick. Now, the second overall pick, that would really surprise me, based on what I've been told. But if they are that, if there is a mandate to we have to get it going, we have to make something happen now. And if there's a great player, I don't know who the player would be that they would go for. I mean, I know they're interested in Nylander. I know that's not going to be for Nylander.
No,
but
I mean, they're interested in Nylander. I can't imagine that the Leafs would get them.
Well, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, there's some talking. Darren Dreger 5 minutes ago indicates it. Lots of speculation linking Chychrun to the second pick and maybe Ottawa's 7th. Yeah. Senators seem less likely because of their left defense, but anything is possible. Devils could use Chychrun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dreger did that.
And this is Bruce Garriock's report of most active teams listening on their picks. Jersey at number 2, Arizona number 3, Ottawa number 7, and Islanders at 13. Lots of moving.
So the interesting thing is, if that were the case, and then you have Arizona with 2 and 3. Honestly, when teams have multiple picks high, they usually screw up one of them.
Yeah, talked about that, right?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting if that happens.
They may look at that if they do Chychrun, because then they're going to probably, because that tells me then that may be a case where they're looking Arizona. If they end up getting 2, they may get that. That may mean Cooley, and they'll get Cooley and Nemec.
Yeah,
in that spot, if that's how it plays out.
Right.
Wow, that would be something.
I could see trading a second for Chychrun, sure.
And they'll be ready when they're playing in Houston in 2 years.
I mean, that's a really interesting. I mean, you would think Arizona would really have to think about that. Even though Arizona said they want, they want more than that. They say they want 4 first round equivalents or whatever.
The defensive level of Chychrun. Yeah, it's not like with Philadelphia and DeBrincat at number 5.
No,
I'm like, no.
And Chychrun also at a tremendously cheap rate too.
Right. Yeah, and locked up for I think 4 more years at 4.8 or something like that.
So you don't think, Mike, just to get this clear, you don't think that Maple Leafs would trade Nylander for the second?
No. I think the Leafs would do that.
I do too. Okay, good.
I don't think New Jersey would offer. They'd probably want something significantly more than Nylander for the number 2 pick. And the thing is, I have no idea if Toronto got the number 2 pick, who they would select.
Right.
I don't think they would take Slavkovsky. Maybe they would take Cooley, but they're strong up the middle right now.
Slavkovsky.
I don't know. I don't. Maybe if they think he's a Nylander replacement.
I did have somebody who covers Arizona early in the year say that they do like Slavkovsky and that size. They do. So he could go. It could be Slavkovsky and Nemec then, and then Cooley doesn't go there. That's possible.
And that could be where then Cooley slides to Seattle in that spot.
Yeah,
it could be the same players in the same slot, just going to one team.
Mm-hmm.
And I still hear, by the way, that I heard again today talking about people that Hextall's been told. This is a person that's close to Hextall in there, that he was told that to try to get Logan Cooley somehow to try to make that happen. So
yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no way.
Doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but they're on it, and sometimes,
it's wishful thinking.
Sometimes things find a way, we just don't. I mean, they're going to have to give a heck of a lot for it.
Yeah, but they don't. That's the problem. They don't have anything.
They have a first round pick next year.
Right, but I mean, okay, we're talking about
even a first next year is not enough.
We're talking about
Getzel, a first this year and a first next year is not enough.
No,
I don't think somebody would do that.
I don't know.
Nope.
You're talking about a potential top line center for the next 10 years. No, I don't think somebody's going to do that.
I think Seattle wants if it comes to Seattle, if Seattle has a chance to Kool-Aid, for example, if Kool-Aid drops the forward, you guys don't seem to think. You guys think he's going to go?
No,
I think Seattle's going to take him. I think he's.
If Seattle gets there, I think Seattle has to look. I do disagree with a lot of people here, just from talking to people in Seattle, that they want to make an impact this year. That they don't. And if they can, and Gensel is a guy who comes right in and is immediately one of their best players.
But Logan Cooley is a hell of an impact.
Overall pick?
No way.
That's logic along the lines of, like, say, Philadelphia and DeBrincat for 5.
No, but you're still getting Pittsburgh's 21st, and you're getting Pittsburgh's pick next year.
Never do it.
I'm doubtful on that.
Logan Cooley is a hell of an impact.
I know, but is he playing this year?
No.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm
just saying. Look,
I don't know one way or the other.
What it is it's an overcorrection for the mistake. What you're basically saying, this is an overcorrection for perceived mistakes from last year's expansion draft from not taking, maybe some more talented players.
And I think that is exactly what it is. And I think that there's a real feeling among the Seattle ownership that they, you could ride last year because they were new and they were selling tickets and they still have a pretty good season ticket based, not a great one though. But how many years can they ride out? Are they going to be? Can go a 5-year plan nowadays with?
What they're going to do, and what I think we've all heard this is they're going to spend stupid money, and I'm just using that as a description, stupid money in unrestricted free agency again. They're going to go out. They're going to be in on Klingberg. They're probably going to be in on maybe on Kadri. They're going they've got cap space.
They are going to get. I mean, if they were smart, honestly, they wouldn't spend stupid. They would overpay a bunch of second line players, in my opinion, slightly overpay a bunch of second liners because, not go out for like the big 8, 9, 10, but there's going to be a lot because of the way the cap crunch hits the top guys with Kadri, those guys are going to get their money still, but the cap crunch is going to hit the middle, second and third liners, right? That's going to hit them hard. And you can give them, for $2 million, $2.5, $3 million a year, you're going to be able to get some serious players that are worth that probably are worth $3 or $4 million a year.
Right, but those aren't the guys, the impact guys that you're talking about that'll make big splashes.
Those if you find the right guys like that, offer sheet, I wouldn't offer sheet if you're Seattle, obviously, because of the first round draft picks, and where they could be, but I just think Seattle's going to be more active than people are saying.
We'll see.
Based on that.
Okay.
And that was the Kemper, Darcy Kemper stuff out there too, real quick.
I've heard Kemper going back to Colorado unless the demand is the price tag is too much.
You heard that yesterday.
The interesting thing with Kemper will be if New Jersey, it's Campbell's kind of the first domino. So if Campbell goes to Edmonton, but New Jersey puts in a really good offer for Campbell.
The first domino was actually yesterday when Casey DeSmith re-signed in Pittsburgh. That takes Pittsburgh out of Fleury. That means Fleury could go either back to Minnesota, to Colorado if Kemper goes, or to Toronto. There's a lot of Toronto Fleury talk to that.
And I wrote about that I think that is the Maple Leafs plan, that they think that they can get Fleury. And it might be able to. But the reality is that what I've also heard from talking to people, I'm getting text here as I talk. Sorry about that. So Chicago. Okay, so there is a deal out there. Chicago offered to bring Cat to Montreal for that with a package for that first round pick.
Yeah, there's no way
no way.
I don't see that's happening either. But I'm just relaying text.
They don't need to bring Cat.
Montreal is in a rebuild and tearing down. They're going to trade Josh Anderson. They're probably going to trade Gallagher. They're going to trade Petrie. Them trading for Alex DeBrincat makes no sense.
Right. Okay. So what I was saying before that. Okay, the Marc-Andre Fleury thing. I firmly believe that when Guerin traded for Fleury last year, with Fleury, I mean with when he traded for Fleury, right? Sorry. Yeah, with Chicago. Part of the thinking there with Fleury was, okay, we're going to bring you in and we're going to re-sign you. That and Fleury was okay with that. Fleury wanted to do that, and that's part of why, because Guerin was dead set against giving up his first round pick.
Right.
And then I think the only reason he gives his first round pick is he knows he can re-sign Fleury. And I think that the only reason they haven't done that yet is because of obviously their situation money-wise that they had to do with Fiala and different things like that they've had to do in Minnesota.
Right.
But I think that Fleury is I would put him at 80% now to Minnesota. And then maybe 10% to Colorado and 10% to Toronto. But I think that's really where it's at. I think Kemper, if Campbell signs with Edmonton, Kemper could very easily sign in New Jersey. I think that Kemper could go to New Jersey, and I think that would be an inch. New Jersey really does believe they're just a goalie away.
Mm-hmm.
They firmly believe that is their deal. And I don't think there's going to trade that second pick overall, but that is the rumor that's flying around right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is pretty much the time we have. You guys, I really appreciate you guys getting up today. I'm sure you partied hard last night. It was not easy to get up this early in the morning. So I do appreciate that. Enjoy my favorite city in the world. Very jealous that you're there and I'm not. But we'll be talking again tomorrow. We'll do a show, and then tonight, I might be jumping on and doing something during the draft at times. If things start going crazy, I was talking to Kevin. We could jump in and do a quick thing if something happens. And I'll text you guys all of that stuff too. And if any of you guys are in a place where you could possibly do anything, you can jump on. I'm sure you won't be because you'll be enjoying all the pomp and circumstances of the draft. Any last predictions for any surprises, guys, that you think's gonna happen? What's the craziest thing you could happen tonight, Anthony? What do you think?
Your trade suggestion on Gensel.
Yeah. All right, there you go. That's the craziest thing that could happen. It's not a suggestion, it's a rumor. But yeah, I mean, I would my what I would actually do versus what I what I would actually do is not. I would not do that. But it's just there is Crosby wants Cooley on the Penguins. I've been told that flat out. That does mean something. Crosby has never really pitched any player before.
I want to date with Jessica Chastain, but we don't always get what we want.
You're not Sidney Crosby, Mike.
I know. Okay.
Mike, craziest thing that could happen tonight for you?
A Nylander trade. I'm hoping for it. I'm praying for it because I think it's a move that the Leafs need to do. But do I think it's going to happen? No.
Okay, there you go. All right, so that's the and then Russ will talk later, guys. Remember to send me your fifth pick. I'll text you after the fourth pick goes tonight. And we'll keep in touch. Remember, guys, if you're out there, check out the rumor tracker going all day. And it's going to be fun. I love the rumor tracker. I wish it was up all the time. Get quick things out there, and we're getting a lot of stuff. And I'm going to be posting like 3 or 4 things right after this podcast. So, folks, remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Enjoy the draft tonight. We will talk to you tomorrow.